I was telling Sally and Lynn that I was setting up and I spilled my coffee, my entire
Oh,
brand new
oh,
cup of coffee all over this week's project. Well, this week, because I was going
did
to
you,
do this, and I was going to show you how to do it, and then because salt takes time to dry, take the one that I had done ahead and take the salt off and do the rest of it.
Oh,
Do
that's
the
lovely.
the cooking school thing.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
Graham Kerr thing, where you
Put
put
it
it in the
in,
oven and
take it right
then
out.
you take it out and it's done.
That's right. There we go.
But and so I actually took the one that I spilled coffee all over and blotted it and added more salt, and maybe it'll be dry or maybe it won't. So we were going to do this. The other thing I found is we were talking about charging, and I found this from one of our first.
Ooh.
That was one of our
Oh, that's
first
nice.
charging lessons, and I really love. And it's got. I really love the green leaf. Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
because it's got yellow, and I don't. It's got yellow and green. You see that leaf there? I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to keep it in the
uh,
light. Okay.
oh, oh,
That's
that's
lovely.
nice.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And so the scratches, the veins in the leaf, the leaves are better, I think, than the flower. But the
It's got a nice
leaf
tone to it.
veins are scratches, and then I have green that I put in. I made the puddle the leaf shape, and then I put green in the stem end of the leaf and yellow in the pointy end of the leaf,
Nice.
the distal end and the proximal end. I can remember that. That's a long time ago that I learned. So since we'll still do this, but I don't know that I can show you the ending of it. In other words, we can still do that. But what we can do, because I think this dried, well, no, I'll do it in a different style. I did this,
Ooh, I love
That's
it.
lovely.
and
Wow.
there's a number of ways to do it. And one of the ways to do this kind of thing is with a sponge, and that will probably dry fast enough so that we can get the entire thing done. So I'll do that on a smaller board, and I'll get it started, and then I'll put it aside. Here are my rose petals, not my rose petals, my
Cherry blossom.
chair. I knew somebody would know what they were. Somebody who still has brains. And it's a weeping cherry tree. Okay, so there's my cherry tree, and here's my ground, my blossoms on the ground. A blossom fell, and very soon. Okay, that's the beginning. And I will do the salt thing, and we'll just see what happens.
And you said
Um,
that's the red you were using?
Pardon?
That was a red.
Yes, I use the red because
Oh, okay.
it's very wet, so it comes
Uh-huh.
out pink.
Okay, very well.
It's very because if you use a sponge, it ends up being very wet, and so it comes out pink. The way you get lighter color, and this was all red. This one is all red. There's
Okay.
no pinks. There's no white in this picture, other than the paper. So to do the tidal basin, and what I decided this one was the view from the road because you're looking down at the top of this tree. So that I wanted to be like I was on the path, in which event the first tree would be all up at the top, so much under you. So I'm dotting my paint in it. It's a mixture of reds. It's not just a single red. There's some rose madder and cadmium, which is sort of your basic red. And now the tidal basin part, I'm going to go around. And of course, it should get bigger as it comes closer to you. And I'm going to do a reflection. So again, I'm going to dot my paint into it. This is being more pink than red. And if Jonathan were here, I would tell him, do you remember Matt and Helen? They gave me this brush, and I haven't used it much. But it holds a lot of water. So when you're doing these kind of wet things, it's really nice. And there's my reflection. And now I have 3 kinds of salt. I have regular table salt, which I'm going to put on the furthest away cherry trees. Trying to make it a little bit even. Oh, instead it's just slobbering. And then I have a coarse table salt. Put that sort of here. And then I have, and I tried this last night or the other night. This is the stuff you put on the sidewalk.
Oh,
Mm.
big stuff.
Big,
Yeah.
yeah, really big. And I said, well, you know, it's good for dogs. It's okay for the dog's feet.
Should be okay for the painting.
Should be okay for the painting, and we won't eat it. We promise we won't eat it. Here, let's put some more down here. Not enough pink. Not enough here. I also did an experiment. Is it better just to do the cherry blossoms and no other colors, or is it better to have other colors? And I discovered it's better to have other colors. So I have a purple there. I have a blue already mixed or already in a jar top. So here's my my tidal basin. And I'm slobbering it because I'm going to paint over this afterwards, but I'm letting it go into my salt because the salt will draw the color, in. And then here, because we're on land, that should be, oh, that's dark. There's some very dark green. Way darker than I think I wanted. Let's see if I can dumb that down a little. Don't go down there. Where's the tissue? It's gonna go down there. I tell things to go not to do things, and they do them anyway. I'm totally irreverent. On the other hand, when I get pissed when I spill my coffee.
Did it make a nice artwork?
I hope so. Oh, you did the coffee? It just wiped it. It just made it very thin. You know, it. And so I went and I put more paint on it. And I'm gonna dot some more red, just dot it around on top of the salt, which will be interesting. We'll see how that works, especially where the green is covered, which should make it sort of gray. And I'll make a little bit of a blue sky, or maybe it's slightly purple sky. And I will put this away, and maybe it will dry enough to do something. Chris, would you? I'm putting it over on there. And so those are the two things that I wanted us to do, and we'll see how they work. And this will be dry. This is almost dry already. It may be dry. This is the one I spilled the coffee on. So that's why it's very faint. And of course, as soon as I did it, I mean, you know, I'm one of those people that you have to try and fix it right away.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to fix it.
It looks
It
very
looks
awake
good.
though, doesn't it?
It looks sort of. So let's see what it looks like when I take the salt off. Would you hand me the trash? The fingernails are very useful, but you find out after you've done this with your fingernails that your fingernails are all filed down. So having gotten to here, you know, one wants to make it look like there's trees here and stuff. And I'm using a water brush. It's got a very tiny point. So it does little tiny things. I still dip my brushes in water, even though it's a water brush. A little bit of green, a little bit of black, maybe a little bit of burnt sienna to give it a dark, but not a definite kind of color. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my trees here.
So if you don't have a water brush, just a
A fine brush, yeah,
like
a fine brush. But I also like to use this with salt because it doesn't make it's a tougher brush. And as I come closer in, the trees should get bigger. It's up here. This one's got the worst of it. But it should have some branches to indicate that, you know, here there's a lot of coffee right there. It's sort of muddy.
A little coffee tree.
Yeah. It's a real dessert thing, you know, cherries and coffee.
Mm.
Cherry pie and coffee. And of course I can cheat, which of course I do all the time anyway.
Yeah.
Nancy is down on me about that.
I have never said anything to you about that.
Oh, you say it every week. You say it every week.
I just don't put your name on it.
No, but I suggest something and you say, isn't that cheating?
Yeah, I do.
No such thing.
That's right. There's no such thing. It's all cheating, Chris is saying from the kitchen.
A sign of high
Well,
intelligence.
he hired a chef.
Creatively.
Yes.
What's Chris cooking tonight?
What are you cooking tonight, Chris?
He retired.
Oh, he's just not on mic. He is doing tuna steaks with
Oh.
quinoa cakes.
Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh.
And those are very nice. It's quinoa and you make it into sort of like a potato pancake, but it's quinoa and with Parmesan kind of cheese
Oh.
and kale salad and what else?
Good grief.
Kale and carrot salad.
She said good grief.
That someone likes. Yeah, I like with raisins
Oh my.
and ginger.
Good.
Yes.
We'll be
Grace.
right over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming now.
Right. So here's making my water into water, hopefully. Reflection. I don't know that it's coming across as a reflection. Half a minute. So there's my water. Here's my pathway around the tidal basin. And it seems like the reflection of the pink has sort of disappeared. Well, I'm gonna have to add that in.
They're difficult.
Well, it's difficult when you spill coffee on it.
Oh, but see, you met the challenge.
Yeah. Well, I always say you have to let the painting lead sometimes. It's choosing 5:30 to lead. Okay, so now I'm going to pull off some because this is almost too defined. It's not working. It's not
Well,
actually working.
I wish I had cheated on mine now.
That's right.
This is gross.
Cheating is a great thing. So, well, I've done better paintings. That's that.
Does that one have salt or no?
Yes, it had salt. It had
Not-
salt twice.
I'm not seeing it somehow.
And the salt is gone now.
Well,
I
you
mean-
can see the what's the result of it.
You see the
though.
texture.
Yeah.
And you see how it's drawn the green and the pink together
Yeah.
and sort of blended them. The salt does that because it draws the paint to you. It's what it is. It is what it is. I think that this here is not good. Oh, I know what else I can do. I saw a Japanese man artist, and he did his whole cherry tree thing with splatters.
Splatters? Ooh.
Yeah, splatters. And I tried it, and it wasn't very successful. And since this painting is kind of awful anyway, on this brush, and then tapping the brush against my hand so that it splatters. But there we go. I think that's as good as that's going to get. Yes, it is.
I like that though. That's good.
Well, this technique tends to do that, and I like it too, but this one is sort of messier than usual.
When he splattered it, did he do anything once he splattered it?
Yeah, he did. Then he put in his branches.
And then
In other words, I already had my branches in. Okay, so I'm calling this a wrap. This is done. So tortured. So tortured. And now I'll come back. That could be darker. Well, it is darker, but it doesn't come over as very dark. So now where's my brush? And now I'm going to use black. And I'm putting it into my funny color. I mean, my non-color, but it's going to be blacker. And I'm going to see where I have white. Oh, that's too green. Yuck. Yuck. Let's try the splatter. Not working. I think a fan brush would be better.
Huh.
What color are you splattering? More red?
There we go. One could also use a toothbrush. Do I have a toothbrush? Yes.
Toothbrushes are good.
And because it's spring, there should maybe be a little bit of green coming up. Okay, there we go.
Cool.
I think it's got too many roots, but it's okay.
Like a bonsai.
Well, you know, that's what I love about the ones that we have at the Tidal Basin, that they're so old and gnarly, you know.
Mm.
I
And you know what they have also? They have flowers coming out of the trunk.
Like a
Exactly.
cocoa plant.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
So I stuck in some flowers coming in the trunk. There we go. We've done cherry trees. And if you looked at the ones on the website, you saw a number of paintings from past years that other people have done, Virginia, I know, had one, at least one. Lynn had one or two up on the website. There were some of mine. The one that Lynn is doing is one of mine. So, cherry trees. The other things that I think one can do is individual blossoms, which is what Lynn is doing. And that's nice. I would also love to try that one of Louise's where it's this white branch. The problem is that it's white, and that's really hard with watercolor
Yeah.
since the white that we use is paper. I might try it on a colored paper and see, but I think there's enough variation in this these techniques to do more. So I'm leaving up the cherry blossoms and saying, okay, do more. This one I did with salt. You see
What
this?
kind of salt? Just regular iodized, or is it kosher salt?
No, well, no, this was probably done with this green stuff, which is the stuff you put on the stoop,
Ah, yes. Okay, gotcha.
because the cells are so big. I also use this kind of salt, just regular salt. I use that on this one. I used regular salt here. I used this coarse green stuff here, and I used a coarse like a kosher salt.
Ah, interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Thanks.
Because I wanted to, get a finer and finer
Sure.
grain. And I don't think you can see that on the. I don't think you have that kind of refinement in the video.
You're
Well,
right.
you can see the coarse one.
But the darker spots are where the salt granules at.
Well, they're dark. They're sort of dark circles or squares, with a white center.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and that would be where the salt was.
Okay.
Now, of course, some of the salt scattered, so I've got some of those in the center in the water too. And when you use the fine salt, can I get light on that? It's just sort of a mist. So that's that. And Chris has brought me my wine. But I'm gonna want him back. Okay.
Sounds
Very good.
Well, thank
More
you very
cherry
much.
blossoms next week. Everyone have a great weekend.
Thank
See you
you.
next week.
You too.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.